How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, right where we left off at the end of yet another chapter. This one was, it's kind of interesting. I feel really bad for Rena, but she's pretty damn crazy, I'm not gonna lie. She's, definitely not normal, and I don't know, I still feel bad, but I really know I shouldn't, all things considered. You know, spookiness and all. So, those events aside from the previous episode, we also did see our final tips. So the tips are now out of the way. One of them, the absolute last one, was a real creeper, I will say. I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but there were definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in a panic all night. I spent all night hugging the metal bat and sat on top of the futon I used to barricade my door. Waiting, watching just in case someone tried to break in through my window. If I left this spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying and attacking me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. The thought of being vulnerable scared the living daylights out of me. If sleep meant taking the risk, I didn't need it. It was so much better to just stay awake. At some point during that endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside, but that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek outside the curtains. Rena was gone. Thankfully. I couldn't see her anymore, or anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I didn't feel like sleeping at the moment. I still had time, but I needed to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, it'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. The risk involved leaving my house was incalculable, so staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Oishi-san wouldn't help me without cold hard evidence. Neither he, nor my parents. So unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes, just like I did every morning. So we gotta get out there. We can't be too much of a pussy here. We gotta push it. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Keiichi, my bro. Let's go to school. Let's wait until they set their trap for me. But that didn't mean I was just going to twiddle my thumbs. I needed to avoid that trap and secure irrefutable evidence. Take note of the plates of any car that drives by. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothes and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attack against them and retaliate. The tension was similar to when two samurai were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katanas. I was not at a disadvantage. I would have a chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage growing in my chest. Alright, let's go to school. I tightened my grip on Satoshi's bat. He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please lend me your strength from the great beyond, because that's most likely where you're at. And entrust your dying regrets to me since you were probably murdered. Yeah, there you go. I'll make sure I dispel them. With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. And of course, I was going to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Rena or Mion, I needed to leave now. So much for breakfast. The shattered fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. Right. I meant to clean that up last night, but never got around to it with the phone call and everything. If my parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I would never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I cleaned it up right now, and considering what would happen if I ran into Rena or Mion, it wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got back home. Making extra certain that the doors were locked, I left the house. Yeah, that might not matter, though, in all honesty. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today I was going to go to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Keep your guard up, Keiichi Maibara. The only one who gets to decide if today is my last is me. The confidence, man. I dig it. I have none of it. Like, as things are going right now, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we might die. We're really going out there. I guess we made it to school, so yeehaw. I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Rena said nothing about last night, as if it never happened. But I could see that those events were real by the wounds carved into her fingers. I just heard her telling Sadako and the others that the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though, it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oushi-san shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute, ideal girl. Well, somebody has to in this day and age. It was Mion. I had already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised.
Mion か。分かってるなら放っておいてくれよ。俺は甲子園で忙しいんだ。
I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tacitly, whatever, keeping Mion from getting any closer. I don't know if that was supposed to mean like tacitly or tacitly. Sometimes games like these just surprise me with how little I know about the English language. I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest. I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal. Oh great, she's gonna start probing us here.
最近好きになった。
最近って昨日から？
分かってんなら聞くなよ。
あれまあ。スポーツマンにしては爽やかじゃないお返事だことで。
気が散る。放っておいてくれ。
I ignored Mion and kept swinging. And she's still here. Normally she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. But Mion just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility, but we were at school in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or was that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break here and hear her out.
何か用なんだろう。なんだよ。
Oh no, I have a feeling that she's gonna tell us that she knows that we're responsible for Rena's fingers being all messed up. Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came. I should probably keep practicing my swings to build stamina, in addition to the excuse for carrying the bat around with me.
用ってわけでもないけどさ。お疲れのようなら後にするけど。
今でいい。
I'm only dealing with you right now because I judged this situation to be safe. Talking to you alone and away from the others? That's out of the question.
さ。
Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. But unlike Oushi-san, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. But then she gave me a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire.
おじさんダメだわ、こういうの。ボキャ品は辛いわ。
Oh, I feel it.
なんだよ、突然。言いたいことがあるならはっきりと言えよ。
I mean, it's not that hard,
やめてよ。
Uh-oh.
素振り。
She cut straight to the point. Her request was so frank I didn't understand it for a moment. I had already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I?
ちゃんとやめてるだろ。
じゃなくて、今日で終わりにしてほしいの。悪いけど。
It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging a bat?
なんでだよ。余計なお世話だよ。別に誰にも迷惑かけてないだろ。
かけてる。
Mion said it flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating.
俺がいつ誰に迷惑をかけたよ。
Yeah, exactly. Mion was at a loss for words, but she finally made up her mind and spoke. And though she stuttered as she said it.
だってさ、ケイちゃん、それ人のバットだしさ。
I mean, you're not wrong.
無断借用は悪いし。
転校した生徒の忘れ物だろ。本人が取りに来るまで借りてるだけだよ。
ああ、まあね。転校したし。
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered. That made it all too clear that his transfer was a lie.
でも変わってるよな。兄貴だけ転校なんだろ。妹は転校しなかったんだろ。
Mion couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her up.
ケイちゃん、知ってたの？
王城聡。聡子の兄貴だろ。去年、鬼隠しにあって消えた。
Unable to respond to that, Mion fell silent.
レナにも言われた。なんで素振りを始めたのかってな。サトシもやってたんだってな。素振り。それも失踪の直前に。これってさ、お社様のたたりに合う前兆ってわけなのか？
Mion panicked and looked around.
頼むよ、ケイちゃん。お社様の話はうかつにしないでよ。
Bro, we've been doing that all game. What the hell?
私はそんなに信じてないからいいけどさ、他のみんなはすごく信じてる。
Oh, you don't believe in him.
レナな
Okay.
んかやばいくらいに。
やばいくらいに？
とにかく、みんな怖がってるんだよ。もしもこれが悪ふざけならやめな。サトシの真似は絶対にやめて。
I was the one who was scared. Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? But it still unsettled me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It would be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions.
先に言っとく。俺はサトシのことは何も知らない。みんなが隠してたからな。
隠してたってわけじゃ。
No, but you all plainly hid everything. The only reason our curiosity grew to this point is because of everybody hiding shit. It's not what friends do.
毎年起こる事件のこと隠してたろ。
Like, I get it. They don't want, these incidents to reoccur and all that, but you can't hide the past. There's always history that can be retold.
それは、ケイちゃんを。
怖がらせたくなかったってのか？それが理由で俺だけのけ者かよ。
いや、そんなつもりじゃ。
ミオンに直にダム現場で事件がなかったかって聞いたよな。ミオンはないって言ったじゃないか。バラバラ殺人があったのによ。
Oh, yeah.
嘘つき野郎。
ごめん。嘘ってわけじゃ。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんかなしだろ。そうだろ。じゃあお前らは仲間じゃない。
ケイちゃん、そんなのって。
Mion looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I never could have imagined Mion acting like this.
ああ、それに先日の見舞いのおはぎ、あれうまかったぜ。血が出るかと思った。やったのはどっちだ？お前かレナか？
私。
Oh. She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was.
死ぬかもしれなかったんだぞ。仲間にあんな真似をするのかよ。
そんなちょっとしたいたずらじゃん。
No, no, no. No, 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 no. Mion gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me.
あれがいたずらで済むかよ。
I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. That wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. Or Tabasco, sorry. Sometimes I read things really off. It was a needle, a sewing needle. If I had swallowed that, and it lodged in my throat, what did she think would happen? Mion's face froze as her body rattled in fear. Bro, if that happened, we would have just transferred, duh. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore.
とにかく、お前は仲間じゃない。仲間じゃない奴の指図は、受ける言われはない。俺のことは当分放っておいてもらうぜ。
Or, you know, in general, forever. Just stay away. Mion wasn't replying anymore.
俺を消そうとしても、簡単にはいかないからな。お前らは最初から警察に疑われてんだ。サトシを消せたように、簡単に消せると思うなよ。
Okay, maybe threatening her like that is not the way we should go about it. I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war.
俺も過去の事件は、お前らが怪しいと思ってる。ダムの反対運動の時から、お前が警察の世話になってたことも、よく知ってる。隠しきれてると思うなよ。いいな！
どうして、そんなことまで。
Mion stood there with a dumbstruck look on her face. That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for morning homeroom.
行こうぜ。委員長がいないとまずいだろ。ん？
At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks.
ひどいよ、ケイちゃん。
I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no need to feel guilty.
俺、行くぜ。ホームルーム遅れるなよ。
I left Mion still shaking as I turned around to go head for the entrance. Probably not a good idea to turn our back to her, but I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Bro, it sucks. It really sucks. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself.
そっか。
Oh, that's not good.
Eh?
She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was a sobbing voice that had a kind of giddy cursing tone. I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her. Oh, Jesus.
ケイちゃんに全部バラしたの。あの野郎か。
Well, he leaked it to us because no one would tell us anything. Again, curiosity killed the cat, sure, and we're the cat, so, you know, I have a bad feeling. But the thing is, curiosity really does lead you down the wrong path. If they were just honest and told us what went on in the past, and, you know, maybe also weren't suspicious, things may have been different. She balled up her fists as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot at the ground with a terrifying yet smiling face, cursing. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. This transformation, Mion's transformation was different from Rena's.
あの時、殺しとくんだったな。
Okay, well that's not a
今年って定年だからって、容赦してやった恩も忘れやがって。
Oh, she knows about that. Retiring this year. Was she talking about Uishi-san?
ちくしょう。ちくしょう。絶対に殺してやる。
I felt like the air itself had begun distorting. With Mion at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral, bending, whirling. This was the first time I'd experienced such a visage. Well, enough of that. Mion made up an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Rena nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Sadoko or Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The months since I transferred in had been almost too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. Because it's normal. Finally, something normal happening. The bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense, yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join in the club activities, I promptly started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped the hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. Yep, let's get the yuck out of here. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down inside me, far beneath, in the recesses of my heart, achingly I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. I couldn't tell how the ending would be, whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me the answers, or my answers, or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Somewhere mixed in with their shrieks, Tomatake-san and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if I will be amongst the Higurashi fruitlessly crying to the next victim. Glancing down at my feet, I saw a Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly, Yeah, that noise. There was still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened, but I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. Sweet bug, tell me your secrets. At that moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once. Yeah, there's nothing coming through the game right now. Thank you, OBS, for showing me the sound waves, or the sound levels, I guess. It lets me know when the music and all sounds get cut off and the creepiness begins to settle in. As if they had huddled together, fearing that the person who'd brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all of my senses. I was just barely able to hold back that creepy, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly amongst the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? No, since I was able to hear the footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me, was it Rena just like yesterday? If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go away like yesterday, or ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted the grip on the bat. I could tell that the fear that I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come back at me. Who could it be? I honestly think it is Rena. She's been, apparently tailing us for a while, just in general. I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. Oh, yep, there she is. My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rena. There was a bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Her eyes were dark and lifeless, but her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand, was a hatchet. I knew she was holding something. Something was kind of poking out there. That's probably not a good thing. I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror laid bare. Baseball, practicing my swing, there were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for that hatchet, there was no excuse for that. A hatchet just like that?
Keiki-kun, kakurenbo kana? Kana?
My heart was pounding. Hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here.
レナを驚かせようとしたのかなかな
I decided that it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us, than to allow Rena to come any closer. I adjusted my grip on the bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind the tree. God damn it. Oh, don't do that.
ケイチ君見つけた
And don't say that either. Rena was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me that she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes, they were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of vicious hot and cold substance began spreading around. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs in my body. Not good, not good. I'll be devoured by Rena at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose.
何の用だよ
I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. But Rena didn't flinch one bit.
ケイチ君と同じ帰り道だよ
Yeah, sure.
じゃあそのナタは何だよ
じゃあケイチ君のそのバットは何なのかな
I mean, we have an excuse for this shit.
俺は素振りで
じゃあレナは宝探しなの
What the fuck? God damn it. Rena gave me a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon.
宝探し
ダム現場の宝の山にねまた新しいかいいのを見つけたのだからねそれを発掘するために必要なの
Can't you just use a shovel?
信じるかよそんなの
信じないよね
Well, I don't think I feel as bad for Rena as I did, or as I said I did in the beginning of this episode. Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. You think? I'd seen Rena's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eyes. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say. It was just too obvious.
待ってよケイチ君
You know, guys, I got a bit of a bad feeling about this. Rena didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Oh yeah, eerie, that's all we can call it. Of course. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. The cycle repeated over and over. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Rena and was trying to escape.
ついてくるなよ
それはできない相談だよレナのうちもこっちだもん
Well, ladies first, go on ahead. When I met with Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home from Rena was the same, and me was the same, sorry, goddamn, that's fine, I'd just change my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned onto a side street I'd never been down and knew little about. But Rena saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go home down the street you normally do. Sorry, I'm stumbling over words now. Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth.
どうしてついてくるんだよ
The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror.
ケイチ君とお話ししたいからケイチ君もレナとお話ししたいんじゃないかな
俺は何も話したいことなんかない
嘘だよね相談したいこときっとあるはずだよ
ないレナと話すことなんか何もないよ
嘘だよね
嘘じゃないよ。
Oh, Jesus. You're not getting me that time. You're not getting me that time. I wasn't as scared that time. I just saw the, the angry expression, and I was expecting it. I was waiting for something to pop out. Didn't get me that time, game. Not this time. But the first time, you definitely got me. Really bad. Rena's scream echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. I cringed in fear. The only other thing I could do was increase my pace. Let's just run.
お話ししようよ、ケイチ君。お話。
Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street?
ケイチ君には悩んでることがあるんじゃないかな。
ないよ。何にも悩んでない。
嘘だ
Even though I was running? Even though Rena was walking? Why wasn't I getting any farther away?
わかるよ。わかる。レナはわかるよ。怖いんだよね、ケイチ君。
Well, no fucking shit.
怖くなんかない。何も怖いことなんか。
嘘だ
My breathing grew heavy and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat.
レナだけは相談に乗ってあげられるよ。今度こそ乗ってあげられる。
I had no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to do.
今度こそ相談に乗ってあげられる。サトシ君の時とは違うもの。
Oh, will it be? Will it? Will we not be transferring? When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. But even as I did that, Rena was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop.
サトシ君も悩んでた。辛そうだった。でもレナは相談に乗ってあげられなかった。とても悲しかった。
Where did this street connect to? All these twists and turns, ups and downs. It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long since gone out the window.
サトシ君が転校しちゃった時ね、本当に後悔したんだよ。レナが相談に乗ってあげれば、サトシ君は転校せずに済んだかもしれないって、すごく後悔した。
The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm.
だからね、誓ったの。もしもサトシ君みたいに苦しんでる人にもう一度会えたなら、レナが助けてあげようって。もう人が転校するところは見たくないの。
Well, here's the thing. The constant use of quotes around transfer is what's really making me think he didn't transfer. Like, I'm 99% sure at this point that this man is dead. And I'm also very sure that Rena is a little, crazy. Just a little. Damn it. What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up the same as Satoshi.
さあ、ケイチ君、レナに話して。レナはきっとケイチ君を理解してあげられるよ。レナだけはケイチ君の味方。
Huh. Well, now that's a lie. I started wheezing out of breath. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode, and my heart was beating so hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of my swing. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought.
悩みがなくなれば、きっとケイチ君も元通り。みんなとも仲良しに戻れて、また楽しく部活ができるよ。今度は一緒に組んで、みーちゃんをやっつけようね。
Losing a little bit of our laughter down there. Yeah, how much fun that would be. Rena couldn't even imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days.
レナともきっと仲良しに戻れるよ。また一緒に宝探しに行きたいね。今度はお弁当も作っていくよ。なんなら今から宝探しでもいいよ。行こうよ、一緒にダム現場。見つけたばかりの可愛いの、ケイチ君にも見せてあげるね。きっとケイチ君も気に入るよ。
Is it an arm? My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Hot on my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rena. Oh, now we've come to that realization? If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that, if I was caught, it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything, not yet. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me and I crumbled towards the ground. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Nowhere to run now, boys. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I couldn't even sense if her heart was beating.
何が怖いのかな?
Yeah, a little bit.
怯えるなんてケイチ君らしくないよ。
Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godliness of the thousand-armed Buddha. Then as both of her hands met above her head, the hatchet that she held came into focus. I stared up at it in disbelief. It was all I could do.
教えてくれ。サトシはどうなったんだよ。
Rena stayed like that with that hatchet raised above her head and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions.
言ったよ。サトシ君は転校したの。
Yeah, I doubt that.
その転校ってのをやめろよ。鬼隠しってことなんだろ。そうだろ。もう教えてくれたっていいだろ。サトシを消したのは誰だよ。レナかミオンかそれとも村の誰かが答えろよ。
I became frantic the more I screamed, but Rena did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face.
ケイチ君が何を言ってるかわからないな。
じゃあ分かるように言ってやる。連続開始事件の犯人は誰だ。
ケイチ君は勘違いしてるよ。
え？
人間の犯人なんかいない。すべてはお社様が決めることだもの。
I think Keiichi may have forgotten that Rena is a little, insane, and she really likes Oyashiro-sama.
お社様のたたりなんて、レナは信じてるってのか？
信じるとか信じないとかじゃない。お社様はいるの。
Well, it's getting a little darker in the red here. Rena's gaze grew even more gelid. The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything.
お社様なんているわけが。
ケイチ君は信じないの？お社様。
信じられるはずないだろ。そんなのいるわけがない。
いるよ、お社様。ケイチ君だって身近に感じてるはずだよ。
そんなもの感じたことないよ。
ケイチ君さ、誰かに謝られたことない？それもずっと。
Yeah, you. All noise from the outside world disappeared, only Rena's voice resounded loudly and terribly.
それはね、許してもらえるまでずっとついてくるの。学校へも、お家へも、枕元へも。
I couldn't understand what Rena was saying.
レナのところへも来たんだよ、お社様。だからレナは転校して、Hinamizawaに帰ってきたの。
I don't understand. Yeah, me either. Wait a minute. I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Rena saying?
圭一くんのところにもお社様来てるんじゃない？
Not as far as I can tell.
きっと相談に乗れるのは私だけ。圭一くんを転校なんかさせないから。ね？
Yeah. Rena's demented laughter clanged around inside my head. Was Rena saying Oyashiro-sama came to her as well? That's right. Last night I had heard about that when I asked about Rena.
他言無用でお願いします。
Oh yeah.
また内容には一部憶測も含まれているかもしれません。すべてが真実ではないかもしれないということです。よろしいですね。
Ueshi-san began speaking.
被害者も学校も告訴していないので、調書がないのです。つまり、警察が関与してないわけなんですよ。ですから、詳細は関係者からの聞き取りのみなのです。つまり、信憑性が高くない。
被害者って言いましたか？レナはガラスを割っただけじゃないんですか？
いえ、男子生徒が3人ほどリュウグウレナに殴られています。
This is stuff that's new to us, right? Like, our conversation kind of got cut off in the last episode when the chapter ended, so I think this is a bit of a continuation of the conversation.
金属バットでです。2人はあざで済みましたが、1人は片目に後遺症を起こすほどの大怪我をしたそうです。
I remember that.
それって傷害事件じゃないんですか？警察は逮捕とかしないんですか？
どういうわけか、被害者が告発しないんですよ。警察に届け出がないので。
They were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally there would be a criminal investigation. But why didn't they press charges?
被害者の男子生徒3人にもそれぞれ話を聞こうとしましたが、全員口が重いんです。こう言ってはなんですが、怯えてるんですよ。彼女が転校した今でも。
大石さん、話を最初から整理して話してくれませんか？
Rena hit people while she broke the windows. Or was it she started breaking the windows after she got bored of hitting people? They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different. Yeah, what came
5月
first?
某日、リュウグウレナは親しい男子生徒3人と一緒にプール倉庫のあたりで話をしていました。
その3人って何者ですか？
個人名は伏せますが、3人ともリュウグウレナととても親しい仲良しグループだったそうです。彼女はこう言ってんだったんですな。
So it wasn't that strange that the four of them were together.
それでどうなったんです？
理由はわかりません。リュウグウレナはプール倉庫脇にあった野球部のバットを手に取り、3人を次々に殴り倒しました。
You know what? My prediction here was that maybe, just maybe, they insulted her or something like that. Let's say that she was already, talking about Oyashiro-sama at the time. They'd call her crazy, right? Therefore, she would take offense to that. There were no witnesses. This was an account pieced together by the information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Rena and 3 male students were at the pool's storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather they usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At the time, Rena underwent a change. The change was so abrupt that the 3 of them didn't comprehend what was happening. And then, taking the metal bat, she attacked her friends one after the other. And they made screams like my dogs are making right now. Leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards the school building. And then, this scene again. So at least now we know the order of events here. First she assaulted the boys, then she came here. Then she broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on scene and subdued her.
レナに起こった変化って何ですか
？3人の証言で一致するのは、突然人が変わった、表変したという点です。
表変。
I also could recall Rena's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Rena that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Rena.
その表変っていうのはたびたびあったことなんですか？
Now keep in mind, we did have that tip, before the very last one, which was kind of creepy, that was like a little docu-series or some shit, like a little interview with a scientist or a doctor, and they were talking about multiple personality disorder. This could be that. It could be.
いえ、そういうのは全くなかったそうです。私も調べられる限り、彼女の過去や病歴等を追ってみましたが、見つけることはできませんでした。
そのレナみたいに突然人が変わる現象って結構あるんですか？
もちろんありますよ。精神的なものから性格的なものまでたくさんあります。
ではレナには潜在的に表変する要素があったってことですか？
断言はできません。ですが、竜宮レナをよく知る友人たちからの証言では、とても彼女にそういう要素があるようには思えません。
Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transferred here, she was probably pretty popular in school like she was now. That girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat. Who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believe that I was mistaken for thinking that was Rena, even now.
そしてどうなったんですか？
学校の正面が病院でしたので、3人はすぐに病院に担ぎ込まれ、手当てを受けました。
レナは、警察は、どうして警察沙汰にならなかったんですか？
警察は呼ばれなければ関与はできませんからね。
一人は後遺症を残すくらい大怪我したんじゃないんですか？どうして訴えないんです？
私もそこは引っかかりました。何かの圧力、もしくは脅迫があったのか、それとも訴えたくても訴えられない理由があったのか。
もちろん大石さんのことですから調べたんですよね。
ねえ、まあ。ですが、初めに言いましたよね。被害者たちの口がとにかく重いのです。触れたがらないというか、関わりたくないというか。
Reluctant to talk. Didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to be involved. It resembled the villagers here in Oyashiro-sama's curse.
学校の先生とかからは何も聞けなかったんですか？
学校は聖域なんですよ。隠蔽体質とでも言いますか。私も捜査令状を取ってませんから弱いんですよね。
じゃあ学校側はノーコメント？
いえ、事件の存在自体を否定しました。
Of course they did.
ですが某日、間違いなく病院に3人の男子生徒が打撲で担ぎ込まれたのは事実なんです。病院にその記録が残ってますので。
被害者は語らず、学校は否定する。何もわからないじゃないですか。
ねえ、その事件があったという事実以上のことは何もわかりません。被害者たちもこの事件が公になることを望んでいませんので、私と前原さん、私たち2人が忘れれば、事件はそのまま闇に消えるでしょうな。
That's some straight up insanity right there. There must be more going on behind the scenes. It's more than just like a threat or something placed on the victims. For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depths were obscured by roiling waves sinking quietly into the void, as if it never existed to begin with.
その後、学校を謹慎で休学します。そしてその間、神経科医のカウンセリングを受けました。
その医者からは何か聞けたんですか？
これがまた職業倫理のしっかりした尊敬すべき方でしてね。口が固いんですよ。もうとにかく。
警察手帳を見せてもダメなんですか？
書面で申請しろと言われました。手帳自体に法的拘束力は何もありませんからね。
Yeah, that'd be true.
じゃあ大石さんはどうやってレナがお社様のことを告白したことを知ったんですか？
一部を聞いてた看護師さんがいましてね。この方は手帳を見せただけで協力してくださいました。
Ha, dumb bitch.
それでなんと？
I didn't mean that seriously. Turns out that the nurse hadn't heard everything. Apparently, all she remembered was that what she overheard from inside the room. Excuse
看護
me.
師さんが言うには、 その時の竜宮レナはとても淡々としていて落ち着いていたそうです。
It was more like she was confessing her sins at a church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through, her mother was asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Rena for a while.
例のお社様の話はどこで出てきたんですか？
途中です。その名前を突然叫んだのです。だから看護師さんもびっくりして聞き耳を立てたのです。
お社様です。
Rena suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said before that, so I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor calmly and collectedly asked Rena to have a seat.
そのお社様というのは何ですか？
Gently, ever so gently. A fundamental part of counseling is to be a good patient listener.
Hinamizawaを捨てた人は必ずお社様に追われるんです。そしてとうとう私のところにも来たんです。
竜宮さんが今のお家に引っ越される前に住んでいた町ですね。
私は引っ越したくなかったけど、お母さんとお父さんの都合で仕方なく引っ越しました。でもお社様は許してくれなかったんです。
竜宮さんはきっとHinamizawaにもお友達がたくさんいたんでしょうね。今でも懐かしいんじゃないですか？
帰りたい。Hinamizawaに帰りたい。帰りたいんじゃない。帰らなきゃいけない。本当はもっと早くに帰らなきゃいけなかった。でももうダメ。お社様が来てしまった。
お社様というのはそのHinamizawaの神様なんですね。
誰でも知ってるHinamizawaの守り神様なんです。それでHinamizawaを捨てて出て行こうとすると罰を当てるんです。
竜宮さんが引っ越しをされたのはもうずいぶん前ですよね。では今になってその神様がやってきたということですか？
信じないでしょうけど、お社様はいるんです。
That nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That was all she remembered.
お社様がか。
確かにHinamizawaにはそういう迷信があります。里を捨てて出ていくとお社様の罰が当たるという。この辺りは前原さんもすでにご存知ですよね。
I knew very well what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following year, Sadako's parents, supporters, and leading advocates for the dam were cursed to their death, But this was the first time I've heard of the curse incurred by leaving the village.
初耳です。村の外敵がたたられるのはわかりますが、どうして出ていく村人まで。普通出ていく者はたたられないものじゃないんですか？
I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I can see it as a rule that the people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something to chase after people that leave, were they? Ueshi-san pondered for a bit over on the other end of the receiver and then began speaking again.
Hinamizawaが大昔鬼ヶ淵と呼ばれていたという話はしましたよね。
I recalled hearing that. Long ago, Hinamizawa was feared and respected as the village of ogres. Or demons, or whatever.
麓の村人たちは鬼たちを崇めていました。
Okay, well, before we get into this backstory, we're gonna have to stop it here. I really am out of time. I have some other things I have to take care of tonight. So that'll be it for this session. Apologies, but the next one will have to be the last. So however much there is left here, we're gonna have to get through it. So my assumption here is we're going to finish up this backstory. Rena's gonna reveal some shit to us and probably kill us. But I'm not really sure. I don't know how these chapters work in the first place, so I don't know if we're gonna survive somehow and, you know, we continue the story on in good old chapter 2 whenever I record that, or whatever's gonna happen. So I guess we'll figure out some of that in the next one. So look forward to that episode, because it will be the last. I mean, Halloween is literally 2 days away from the time I'm recording this, so it will have to be the last episode, however long it will be. So look forward to that one. Thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. Apologies for kind of cutting off here. but I definitely got to do some other things right now. So I'll see you all in the next episode, where we can hopefully reach the end of this. Take it easy, guys.